All right, blamers. Today we're doing something that's a little bit different. We're going to ditch the trauma and we're going to do something more hilarious, or it's going to get me excommunicated for the second time. I don't really know if you can get excommunicated twice, but we're going to find out. I'm talking with comedian Josh Benson, who does the one thing that usually terrifies everyone. He makes fun of religions. And at the same time, he also guesses what kind of a car that they drive. We're talking about everything from secret temple rituals to people getting their own planets, the fear-based teachings that some religions use to control followers, and why certain religious communities seem to go absolutely feral on social media when someone questions their beliefs. Okay, so let's get right into it. Josh, what kind of car do I drive?
I feel like it's giving Range Rover.
Oh my God!
Right?
Are you shitting me?
Let's go. Is it Range Rover?
Yeah, it's a freaking Range Rover.
No.
Okay, what kind?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not affluent. I don't know there are kinds. I know I'm going to go with, because have you heard like the debate of like, are you a white car person or a black car person? Like, have you heard that whole stick? It's giving like blacked out Range Rover. 2023. 2024?
Wow. I can't. Like, that's so spot on. I can't even tell you.
People think it's a gimmick, but yes, I do. I feel like I can read people well enough to be like, yeah, you drive this.
But like, how does that work? Like, where does it come from?
I feel like just general vibes, of kind of coming from East Texas where I was born and raised. You run into quite a few different characters of like all across the spectrum, like the country folks, the affluent, so you kind of just pick it up. And for me, it was always like a kind of a sign of status. Like, what kind of person am I dealing with? When I see what their car is, so sometimes we whiff, sometimes we're spot on. You just never know.
Well, so not just because I got the new one when they changed the new model, and then they also, so I have a full size Range Rover, and I have it's like the long wheelbase space, so I can have 7 seats in there.
There you go.
But my car before that was also a blacked out Range Rover, so I really haven't deviated too far.
I mean, you know what you like, right? Like, let's stick to it. Why change it if it's working?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel. And also, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm a Range Rover gal. Like, that's, yeah, 100%.
No shame in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely not. That's hilarious. Wait, what kind of car do you drive? Wait, should I guess? Let me see.
Yeah, now you guess what I drive, yeah.
Okay, I feel like it's giving Toyota Tundra drive vibes.
Ooh, that would be nice. No,
I'm still stuck. Close?
No, I'm still stuck in what I was driving in college, my 2012 Honda Accord.
Stop.
It is on its last leg. Like, it's time to give it up, but I'm doing it till the wheels fall off. Like, I'm committed to it.
Honda Accord, that's
like
also a girl's car.
200,000 miles. I'm aware. I got it from my mom.
Yeah.
Like, my first car was like this 1996 clunker GMC truck. And so when I go to college, I'm like, hey guys, I need a better car. And my mom was like, okay, I want something newer. So I inherited the beautiful 2012 Honda Accord, and we're taking it until like the guys at the station tell me it's done. Like, you have to get rid of it.
That will never happen because Hondas run forever.
Yeah.
Absolutely forever. I mean, your first kid is probably going to be driving it as their first car.
Maybe. I love not having a car payment. I don't know. Like, some people, like, they can kind of roll with it. I love not having to worry about that right now, but it's going to happen. I'll get something nice. Maybe it'll be a Tundra. If I get a Tundra, then I will give all the credit to you.
No, for sure. Like, I could see you're definitely like a truck guy.
For sure.
Not quite like the big diesel, but more like the smaller kind of truck.
You got to take the kids around, especially when they get older, ball games and stuff. So I'll get a truck the next vehicle.
But you don't look quite like you would fit into a Tacoma.
Yeah. See, my brother drives a Tacoma, but he's a little shorter than me, kind of smaller, so it makes sense.
Yeah, because you seem like you're taller.
Step up.
Yeah,
exactly.
You don't seem like you would fit in that at all. That's hilarious. How did you get into like guessing people's cars?
It literally, so it all stems from the, are you familiar with like the lesbians drive a Subaru joke?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I just had a interview with a lesbian, and I was shocked that she didn't show up in a Subaru.
Yeah.
She showed up in a Jeep Wrangler. However, it did have Rainbow Bright on the wheel cover. So I was like, that works.
Yeah, they got to let you know, right? Like, hey, just so you know, I like women. But it's like Subaru ran like a legitimate, I was so fascinated by this. They ran like a legitimate covert ad strategy in like the 90s to cater to lesbians. So I'm shocked that people are like, this is me. And it's like, no, Subaru did this on purpose. They were, but
100%.
I made a video kind of making fun of lesbians with that. And it kind of grew legs. And from then on, I was like, I'm good at this. Let's just guess. Like, do you know who the Montana Boys are?
Yeah, of course I do. Kristen Cavallari, come on.
Yeah, for sure. So
like
I did one with
she put them on the map. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The handsome guys. I got to turn it over to them. But I did one for them, and it was like, I guess I'm just going to do this now. People seem to enjoy it.
Seriously, they're so pretty, they don't even seem real.
Yeah, like that's one thing I've learned being married is like when I was a single guy, you see guys that you're like, oh, this guy, I think he would be attractive, but there's a difference in the female gaze and the male gaze. And my wife's telling me like, hey, some guys are too pretty, too good looking. And it's like, interesting. So you want a guy that's like a little ugly, apparently.
Yeah.
Is your husband like a model?
How does that make you feel?
I mean, I'm fine with it. My wife's hot. So she can be a 10 and I can be a hard 7 any day of the week. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. No, I definitely marry below my grade for sure.
And every guy that's like their wives say about them is totally okay with that. It's like, yes, I got a woman out of my league. That's the whole point.
I mean, he feels great with it. That's the only reason why he puts up with all of my crazy, because he's like, I'll never be able to get anyone as hot as you.
Exactly.
So also like you're familiar with the hot crazy scale. So the hotter you are, the crazier you are. So, I mean, yeah, he's good with it. Yeah.
I understand.
Totally
I knew what I was
good with
getting into.
Yeah. Also, I couldn't have somebody just as hot as me because then their hot crazy scale is just the same with men.
Yeah.
And so then it would be absolute it would be chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
no, it would
stability, right? Like, hey, you're looking for stability. I was just a regular guy, and it's like, let me just throw a hot blonde into the mix and see what happens. And here we are,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what made you kind of start making fun of religions? Because you make fun of all religions, right?
Yep. Even Islam sometimes to a degree. That one usually gets me in trouble. But it all started because I grew up super Southern Baptist. And I still am a practicing Christian, but I think, as we all do, when I kind of got out of the bubble, I was kind of looking back at things that happened in my childhood and growing up, and I was like, that was weird, right? And I think the internet, for lack of a better term, or maybe TikTok in particular, finally gave people like that video kind of putting things together, like, oh yeah, I went through that too. So it all started when I was, COVID hits, I'm in my room, I'm a single guy, I'm bored. And I was just making videos of kind of personas of other Christian dudes that I went to college with. Some of the videos, people think that I'm making fun of others. I'm just making fun of myself, just like I did this and I lay awake at night cringing at what I said. But that's how it started. It was just like kind of cringy things that happened in the church. And then it kind of evolved over time of like, well, hey, I'm making fun of, the house money here. Atheists do this and it's pretty funny. And, Muslims do this and it's kind of funny. And so it just kind of evolved into, this is equal opportunity humor. Everybody gets to be made fun of a little bit,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what's one of the craziest things that is in the Baptist church? I actually don't really know much about it other than I know that Mormons are mortal enemies to Baptists. And so we're not really allowed to communicate with them whatsoever. Like it is forbidden.
Which is crazy because in like growing up in my 18 years in the Baptist church I grew up in, it was a great church. We didn't mention Mormons once. Like it was never a thing. So we're not aware of the rivalry, I don't think yet. But there's like an old Baptist thing about, this was one of the grandmas in our church always stuck to it, like no dancing. Dancing's like bad. Yeah.
That's
like
a normal thing. So when you grew up, were you not allowed to go to dances?
It was kind of like the older generations would just, cross their arms and be like, but like everyone still went to dances. So I think it was just something that had died out. But like, that's kind of like the thing that you get into is like churches, they've got their older crowd. And of course they cater to them because that's who tithes, right? But they would always voice their like displeasure of like, what are they doing out there? So that was one very Baptist thing was like no dancing. But by the time, my generation came through, it was like, we're dancing. We're going to throw a little ass, It's just part of it.
100%. And especially since TikTok came out, like you can't stop that.
Right. Yeah. Can't stop dancing. TikTok trends. I did a TikTok dance once. It was horrible, but I'll do it.
So was that a normal thing then that Baptists just didn't go to dances?
I think for like the older generation, yeah. But by the time it was like, even my parents like danced, I think to a certain degree, like they had proms and stuff, but I think it was still, that's when they kind of broke the mold of like, okay, I guess we can let them two-step. I don't know. Twerk a little bit. Just twerking for Jesus, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So what is like the craziest religion that you feel like you've come across?
It's a battle right now between Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses. I feel like those two are pretty neck and neck for just kind of the wildest stuff that like, I feel like I keep learning and I'm like, holy cow, you guys do this too? Like, so it's got to be those two.
Okay. So like what about the two?
So like Jehovah's Witnesses, I learned this the other day. They believe apparently that three individuals from the Bible, I think like Abraham, Adam, I'm butchering who it is specifically, but three Bible characters are still alive today and they're living in San Diego.
What?
Which to their credit,
No.
like if you were eternal, you would live in San Diego, I guess. It's a nice place.
Wait, so but are they supposed to be like the three Nephites?
I think it's not the same thing as Mormons with the three Nephites. It's like three hierarchical kings or something that are mentioned in like the Old Testament that for some reason are still alive today, but they don't know who or where they are.
Yeah, but the Mormons believe that too. But we call them the three Nephites.
Yeah, but the Mormons, isn't that like three guys that were there for Jesus's crucifixion that were like cursed, and now they just go around doing good for people and then they vanish? Like,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
These guys
How do you know all this? That's amazing.
I'm telling you, I've like tried to learn as much as possible about Mormonism so that I can obliterate it whenever I debate Mormons and stuff. But I'm still a work in progress, clearly.
Yeah. Okay. So then what's the craziest thing about the Mormons?
I still feel like the coffee thing's crazy. Like it makes no sense. And I say that because it's something that's still, like if I was to name something like old school, I know that any Mormon that watches this would be like, like we don't do that anymore. But the coffee stuff that they still do is like insane to me. Like you can drink a 400, calorie Monster Energy that's going to just destroy your body. But coffee, bad.
It's bad. Sense. And tea. You can't have tea either.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. But did you know that when the pioneers, they made their trek out west, that coffee was on their list of items that they had to bring with them?
I believe it. Because it was like a something to be heralded back then. Like, yeah, get a cup of coffee. This is great.
My biggest thing is like the hypocrisy of it. It just blows my mind because I'm like, okay, so we could do it then, but now we can't. And it's just so strange to me. Like it's just not consistent. It's like if you're going to make up a rule, I feel like you got to stick to it and don't go back and forth. But they really have not gone back and forth with the whole coffee thing. And I don't really understand why, because it truly is like, I mean, like doctors will tell you that is the healthiest form of caffeine over soda, anything else. And it's supposed to be like the word of wisdom. So the word of wisdom is to kind of like a guideline to keep your body healthy, right? Because our bodies are temples and that's what we're supposed to do. But it blows my mind because I'm like, that is not healthy, all of that soda. It's so bad for you.
It's so bad for you, like so sugary and like everything else. And coffee's just from a bean, like, oh, so bad for you.
Wait, so do Baptists also believe in any sort of word of wisdom things?
Not really. I think that's one thing I always maintain separates like normal Christianity from whatever Mormonism is that usually what we believe just deviates straight from the Bible. And like the Bible doesn't have a commentary on like coffee or like special underwear, garments, it's just kind of specific things that are like within the church. So I wouldn't say there's really a word of wisdom for badness necessarily.
So are Mormons the only one that have the special magic Jesus jammy underwear?
Yes, easily.
Yeah, easily. That's interesting. Okay. What does everybody else think about that?
I mean, so like most Christians, I feel like right now that there's been this big push from the LDS Church on social media, Christians are finally like waking up to what Mormonism is. But so like I say that because like not a lot of Christians really have an opinion on it. Like they don't really know or understand. But those who are Christian that understand like some of the beliefs with Mormonism, we think it's crazy.
It's a little wild. But also like why or how do you think that our church is able to get nobody to question any of this stuff? Does that seem wild too? That it's like
Yeah.
that we're just like told this. And also it's even more crazy to think like someone like a convert. So like I'm a convert and that I just was like, okay.
Yeah. Sure. That sounds right, I guess. No, it's
Yeah.
like I keep going back to that clip. I forget what's it's one of the white men that are the old white dudes that are like a part of the general conference, and he's like saying they all look alike, right? It's just another old white dude that's on his deathbed, but he's like a real LDS member doesn't go to Google, they go to the leaders of the church, and it's like, hey, I get that you shouldn't believe everything you read on the internet, but you can Google search something and learn about it, like coffee or something.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so who is the meanest out of all of the religions as far as like when you put out your stuff, your material, who's attacking you the most?
Goodness. I feel like I get it pretty well from all sides. I would say for me personally, it's Mormons just because I think that's where I've centered the most. Like Christians know, like, okay, he's a Christian. So at the end of the day, like, he's kind of our guy, even if there are Christians who don't like me. There's plenty, but I feel like Mormons specifically, the most death threats I've gotten, at least, have come from Mormons and then Swifties. I know Swifties aren't technically a religion, but it might be at this point. So yeah, it's been those two right there, like neck and neck as far as who's been the meanest to me, at least.
That is insane. You're actually getting death threats? Like, what do they say, for instance?
I mean, it's just like, and this is not me specifically. This one's actually specifically from another guy, but like they doxed him, like they sent him his home address and like threatened his family. This was a Mormon that he had made fun of, which this gentleman is more radical online than I am even about Mormonism. But yeah, I've gotten like, count your days or like, I'm going to find you and do yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, good luck, I guess. We're strapped over here, but you can try.
That is so strange. So, in your opinion, who is the most fear-based religion?
That's a good question. I mean, you say fear from the perspective of like, if I step out of line, then God's going to send me to hell or like spite me.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of these fear-based religions that they use it to control their members.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, goodness, like Islam's up there, certainly. I think there's a lot of radicalness there. Yeah, goodness. There's a specific sect of Christianity called Assemblies of God that's like very, goodness, like hellfire and brimstone, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to yell, when I preach and stuff. I feel like that one's pretty fear-based. But I feel like even Mormonism, to an extent, maybe it's not God specifically, but one thing I've learned is that a lot of Mormons like have a very nice bubble, if you will, that the fear is like, hey, if I leave the church, then I'm like, my family's going to disown me. I'm no longer going to have the economic opportunity that I have. My business has a lot of customers that are within the church. So it's kind of like a fear that's, oh, I'm going to have to essentially start over if I leave the church. I better stick to it.
I mean, that's all very real. So what is so fearful within the Islamic religion?
I don't know enough about Islam to maybe speak to it, I guess, as far as, I guess, their deep down beliefs, but I feel like just fear, it is exuded in how they kind of or show the latter. Like, I guess more radical Islam, is like blowing people up and, doing this for Allah. So I feel like the fear of like, well, if I don't do this, like what could make you, want to like commit suicide? I guess you're pretty scared of what's going to happen if you don't.
Well, yeah. Or I guess like, and if you don't do this in the name of God,
Exactly.
we're going to kill you.
Yeah. Pretty treacherous
Yeah.
times, I would say.
Yeah, that's insane. Okay, so out of all of the religions, in your opinion, which one is 100% made up?
I mean, Mormonism. it's so, like that's the whole thing of when I made my first video about Joseph Smith like 2 years ago. And again, it was kind of just in the endeavor. I didn't really know what I was talking about at that time. It was like I knew enough to know who Joseph Smith was and stuff. And like learning more and more about the Mormon religion has been like, holy cow, how do people not realize this is totally fabricated, like in every avenue?
I should be offended, but I'm not.
I'm sorry if I'm being offensive.
No, because that's what I ask myself all the time. I'm like, did I really believe that freaking Joseph Smith looked into this magic hat and wrote the Book of Mormon at like 14 years old?
Yeah, exactly. Like that. And then the whole, like, have you seen like I think it's the South Park bits about
yes.
the dumb.
Dumb.
I mean, that's true. Like that whole story is true about how he wrote it, and then Oliver Cowdery took it, and then
he lost some pages, and then Lucy, who's smart.
Smart.
She was like, well, if he is actually able to talk to God, then God will be able to tell him what is missing in those pages, and he couldn't.
Like, and there are quotes from that time period too of like, I think it was the governor of Illinois at one point, like having a formal statement and saying like, yeah, one of the guys that were like one of the 12, like basically said it was fabricated and stuff. So it's like, you see even pieces and bits from then of people being like, this is dumb, and there's a reason why, hate to say it, but like there's a reason why Joseph Smith was assassinated. It's not like he was a very popular guy. He was spreading lies and the general population was like, hey, this isn't cool, dude.
Yeah, honestly, like I feel like the government was trying to protect people and he made it out like, no, he was just a martyr, right?
Yeah.
Like, but no, the biggest thing is too, is that like, I think about it, they call those stones like a tool, right? Like he was given this, I think they called it like the Urim and Thummim. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. So there's the Urim and Thummim. So he's given that by God or by this angel. I think this angel appeared to him, gave him this tool. And then I think the biggest thing is that all of us are finding out later, we're like, wait, the Urim and Thummim was just two rocks?
And did
like,
he not
we didn't know that.
He just
we're
stuck
just
to his
told
own
that it's the Urim and Thummim.
Yeah. I think they were rocks. And isn't the story like he just said like, hey God, I'm good. I have my own seer stone right here, which he had been doing treasure hunting with for the past, couple years prior. So it makes no sense. Like, okay, you had a magic rock this whole time.
No, absolutely no sense. And then I feel like we go into the polygamy stuff, right? Where polygamy was not like a thing that our government like was okay with at the time. But when we are taught about it, we're basically taught, well, that was just the way things were done at that time. Everybody was a polygamist. And then I'm like, now learning, I'm like, that's not true. Why were they telling us that?
Yeah. No, it literally wasn't. Like, that's the biggest rebuttal that I got initially with the polygamy and with younger women that he was marrying when he was like 50 or not 50.
He was in his 40s.
Yeah, when he was in his 40s. And he was like, oh, well, that's just a different time. As if, like, it's just a couple generations ago. Like, it's not that long ago, all things considered. I know the world's changed a lot, but it's not like my great-grandparents or my great-greats were polygamists by any stretch.
Well, and the other thing is too, is like they tell this story about this printing press that was destroyed and because they were trying to print the Book of Mormon, but that's not what was happening. What happened is that this 14-year-old girl, her dad had caught Joseph Smith with her, right? And so he was going to print about this and Joseph Smith like,
oh no, it got destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. Like destroyed it. And like, that's why he was tarred and feathered. It wasn't because they make it that it's, well, when something's true, of course, Satan is trying to destroy it, right? And so all of these people are trying to destroy the truth. And this is what we're told. This is what we believe. I'm not kidding you. And he was tarred and feathered because he was sleeping with all of these underage girls and convincing them that they should marry him. And he had all of these wives and he was basically keeping it a secret from everybody. And that's why he was tarred and feathered. It wasn't because he was preaching the true church and the true word of God. Do you know what I mean? But like, that's what's taught to all of us. I mean, there is like primary songs. There is all of this church material, paintings, pictures that are all over to like kind of brainwash us into thinking like this, they're rewriting history.
Right. Well, I feel like it's the things that are omitted too, right? It's
Yeah.
Have you heard the story of the bank that Joseph Smith started in Kirtland, Ohio?
I think so. Yeah. Because he was trying to basically make it that everybody had to pay their money and then give it out to how much he thinks that you should. It's like the law of consecration, right?
I feel like it was like in an effort to, I think, control tithe to an extent. But yeah, it was like a bank that was started specifically for Mormons in Kirtland. And in the quote is apparently Joseph Smith like is on record as saying like, you know, I heard from God, like God audibly told me that this bank will not fail. And the bank like failed in about a month, all things considered. And he tried to do some shady dealings to, you know, prolong it and what have you. But I feel like it's stuff like that would never be mentioned in a Mormon church of like, hey, the prophet of God heard audibly from God that this would happen. And then it didn't happen in about a month. Like it was completely the opposite.
I know. That's crazy. So has your idea of religion, like kind of like your faith, has it shifted at all as you have researched more of these religions?
I think it has. I think one thing that it's done is kind of reaffirmed my belief in a God. I think that when I kind of just look at like creation as a whole and like the existence on earth, I do believe that there is a God that created all of this. And so that's why I think atheism is kind of silly to an extent. But then that begs the question of like, well, which God, right? There's a plethora of religions, like which one? And I guess I'm playing, you know, for the home team, of course. I feel like it's reinforced, if nothing else, like my belief in Jesus Christ. But that said, it has kind of to an extent made me really press on, well, which branch of Christianity is the true one, you know, or which branch of Christianity should I subscribe to be kind of in that optimal relationship with Jesus. So it's challenged a lot of what I grew up believing kind of in the Baptist church, but it's like I had a little deconstruction period, I feel like, for about a couple of years of just trying to figure out, like, is this even a thing? Should I just be like atheist or agnostic? But yeah, it's kind of reinforced kind of where I am today, but it's definitely opened my eyes, I think, to a lot of the underlying beliefs for a lot of different belief systems.
Yeah, I can definitely see why. I'm having a really hard time, but that was also what Joseph Smith basically sold was that he was just curious what church is true, right? And he's like, none of them. So now we're going to create our own, you know? And yeah, so I think a lot of people are in the same boat where they're just like, what is true? What's real? What's not?
Yeah. And that's fair. Like, I feel like a quest for the truth is always something that's admirable, but it's important to kind of put the big old X beside the things that are clearly not true, like from the jump, you know? And I think that a lot of faiths you can cross off pretty quickly.
So you were on a podcast and you had said that you felt like the Mormons have like this online crusade that is like coming after like anti-Mormon stuff.
Yeah, I do. I still, and I said this on the podcast I was on last time. I can't prove it. Like, I don't have the internal documents, of course. So like, am I 100% certain? I can't be. But the Mormon Church is like has 300 billion in assets at this point. You're telling me an entity that size doesn't have any money dedicated towards social media, influencing advertisement to that extent, and even more so knowing how the Christian church operates. Like there are 1,000,000,001 nonprofits established that anyone can give money to, and they can use their money for whatever they see fit to use it for, right? And that can be specific nonprofits that are like set up to have certain conversations or certain content created. Like that exists for not just Mormonism. Like there's political organizations like Democrat, Republican that exist just to pay creators money to make certain kinds of content for Israel or whatever talking points. So I think to act like all these Mormon nonprofits don't pay a penny to any creator to create certain types of content, I think it's kind of silly to not think that.
No, I 100% agree because I get a lot of comments in my comment section, and I'm like, these are fake accounts. And why? Like, why would somebody just create a fake account for any other reason and go and troll unless they were getting compensated for it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense to me, right?
Well, I feel like some people get the high of just being a hater on the internet, like the echo chamber, and they can kind of be mean and it's not attached to them or their business. And it's always funny too, when that first video like leaked out and people were like, where I was saying like, I think that creators are being paid, I got lambasted by a bunch of Mormon accounts with like 3,000 followers. Like, they're not paying me to do all this. And it's like, well, of course, like you, buddy, with your 3,000 followers, I don't think they're paying you. Like, just to be clear, like it's obviously some of the top influencers, I guess. But yeah, I definitely think there's some money behind it.
Yeah, there's got to be. Also, I have noticed that some of them are not really, their language is off. Like, you could tell it's been translated.
Interesting. I haven't noticed that.
Yeah.
Like
Because I'll go through it. Yeah. Could you go through it and you're like, this isn't quite the way people talk here, or it would have gotten lost in translation if, let's say, they're paying someone in another country to create these comments and then they're translating it into English. Because you've done that, like, right? Like, seen where it just, the translation's off.
Yeah. Or you can tell kind of too, like when ChatGPT writes something now, like, I feel like that's starting to become a skill, like what's the dash? Like the extensive use of like the dashes. I don't know the exact name of it, but like you can kind of highlight like, oh, I think ChatGPT wrote this because this doesn't look like a human wrote it.
Listen, I am 100% like on the fence of just creating my own AI twin at this point, because I wouldn't have to freaking do my makeup. I wouldn't have to do my hair. I could just plug my shit in and be like, here, hey, put me in this place, this background. Honestly, it's like really tempting to be like, I need an AI twin.
Sure. I mean, it makes life a whole lot easier. Why not?
But you could tell, right? Like, I can tell. I'm like, oh no, that's an AI person.
Yeah. I feel like we can tell now, like give it 5 years, like, holy cow, what's the state of the world going to be? Because to your point, I've seen some creators already start doing that. And we can tell today, but I wonder if in like 3 years, it just won't even be like, you can't even tell the difference.
Okay. So do you get the same type of pushback from other religions like you do within the Mormon religion?
No.
Because
it's very much unique.
Because there's even people that are taking your reels and then they are like remixing it or stitching it, and they are kind of like attacking you, like what you're saying is untrue. Do you get that from other religions?
Not usually, no. Or at least not to that extent. I think I always make the joke that like a lot of Mormon creators are keeping the lights on at home because of me. Like anytime I post something, they're like, oh, finally, I have an idea for today. I can just rebuttal against what Josh said. But I think at first it was like a shock to the Mormon community because LDS members consider themselves to be Christian. And I think that they're kind of like, wait, whoa, I thought we were on the same team here. And now that I think awareness is kind of coming about, a lot of Christians are like, oh, no, we're not on the same team. So at first it was like this, oh, wait, I thought we were cool. Now we're not. And now I think Mormon creators have identified the couple of creators who like consistently make, I guess, anti-Mormon content, for lack of better terminology. And it's like very specifically like, I mean, I have like relationships with some of them now. Like we text like we're buddies. Like, hey man, what do you think of BYU this year? You know, so it's like I wouldn't have made friends, you know, doing this otherwise. So I don't know. It's very unique to Mormonism. You can tell it's very personal, which I understand. Like these are at the end of the day human beings, and like everyone deserves to have faith and things like that. But I think in the same regard, as a Christian, we get to say, well, this is the boundary for our faith, and if you believe things outside this boundary, then like we have to call a spade, you know?
Yeah. So what do you think about BYU? Like specifically the amount of money that they have that they're able to buy all of these athletes like AJ DeBanza for once, you know, like he is absolutely going to be like top 3 draft pick this year, right? Like absolutely incredible. However, like there is no question that the Mormon church is a racist church. It is racist. It was founded on racism. It literally threw millions at the civil rights movement to basically like combat it. Told BYU students they were not allowed to go to any sort of marches. They couldn't do anything that involved that, or they would be kicked out of school. You were threatened for excommunication if you, had anything to do with the civil rights movement whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think, it was up until 1978, which really isn't that long ago, that Black people were not allowed to go into the temple. They were not allowed to have any sort of temple marriage. They were allowed to volunteer and clean, in there for free. Sounds a lot like slavery. But, like how are they able to pay all of these tremendously talented, high profile Black athletes to come and play for their school? What do you think of that?
I feel like it's the Live Tour. Like, do you know the whole golf stuff with like Live and the PGA Tour and all that?
No, I don't.
So
golf is boring.
Golf is, I used to say the same thing, then I played it. I'm horrible at it, but it's so much fun.
Same.
But
I throw my shit. Like, I'm like, this is freaking bullshit.
This is horrible. No, but it's basically like the Saudis are trying to diversify away from oil money. And so what they were trying to do in that effort as well is like, hey, how can we diversify our investment, but also kind of wash our image, make people kind of okay with Saudi money now. And that's where Live Golf came from. It's like billions of dollars poured into this project, all from Saudi money. And I feel like it's kind of a similar endeavor with BYU. It's like, hey, how can we, I feel like Mormons, at least from the outside, don't have a horrible image, but how can we make Mormonism more of a household conversation? Like everyone knows what BYU is. How can we kind of wash the image via sports? And I feel like, to your point exactly, the church is like, yeah, we'll pay AJ DeBanza. Is that how you say his last name? We'll pay him some racks. Who cares? We'll give him a new car if we can get him in. And then it makes the Mormon image like, oh, wow, like this is very inclusive and this is very acceptable. Let's talk about it. So I don't know how much they've dedicated to it, but I feel like it's something similar to the Saudi money, honestly.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. It's crazy. But then also, like, is it wild to require all of these athletes that are not Mormon to also have to follow all of the church rules? So, like, there's no premarital sex. So if somebody like AJ is not a Mormon and he has sex with his girlfriend and his girlfriend confesses or whatever. And I'm not saying, I don't even know if he has a girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm sure no women want AJ.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Good looking guy. Projected
I have
like
no doubt. There is all of these blonde-haired, blue-eyed, big-boobed Mormons girls that are all
Hi,
like,
AJ.
Yes,
Here's my
100%.
number, social security, take it all.
Yes. But he would literally get kicked off for having premarital sex.
That's crazy.
So the quarterback last year for BYU, yeah. So same thing, right? He got kicked off and he was Jewish, I think. Right? And he was suspended, and then he ended up just transferring to a different school. And I thought that they beat a team that actually kicked BYU out of whatever their path was, the new school that he was in. Tulane. Basically, anyways, BYU didn't make it this year. So karma's the bitch, right? But yeah, like what do you think about that? That these schools are able, like BYU Idaho, BYU Hawaii, all of them, they're requiring them to follow all of the church rules.
I think it's silly. Like, of course, every athletic team like has a code of conduct, right? Or like here are things that we commit to. But I feel like it's very silly to like look at an athlete's and then also like delve into their personal lives. Like, I know that there are Christian schools that do the same. Like, hey, you're going to have to come to, like the seminar once a week or go to your Bible classes. But I do think at the end of the day, it's kind of silly to be like, hey, you aren't even practicing our religion, but here are, on top of the code of conduct, here are extra things that like our church believes that you have to do. It's kind of like, okay, really?
Yeah. Well, and even like there's been athletes too that are 21 and then they got caught at a bar. And same thing, they get kicked off because you can't drink alcohol, right? Or they're drinking coffee or whatever it is. They're not following all of those things and they're getting kicked off.
Which is crazy. Like, I feel like some of the Mormons that I'm friends with, like, for sure drink. Like, of course, it's very recreational, and I don't think that they're alcoholics by any stretch. They're good people. But, like, it's kind of like, there's also this stigma, I think, of, like, the things that the church believes. And everyone's like, yeah, we believe this, but no one actually does it. Like,
yeah.
You're telling me that, like, Mormons that are 21 or over can legally drink? They don't have a beer every now and then?
Well, I never did.
You never had...
And I never did. And neither did my husband. Like, we didn't.
You guys didn't
like,
drink, like, at all? Like, not even...
No, because
Really?
then you can't get a temple recommend. And so your status in the church is basically limited. So you can't have any sort of leadership callings. You're considered basically inactive. So I mean,
like if you and your husband, like let's say you guys are back in the church, right? Date nights in the comfort of your own home, candlelight, it's beautiful steak dinner. You can't have a glass of wine.
Josh, you can't even have oral sex.
You can't have oral sex if you're a Mormon?
Yeah.
No way. That's horrible.
Yeah.
That alone.
Is that crazy. Wild? So that's the only rule that I broke.
Oral sex?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have how many kids?
Well, 5. Well, and I also will. we also had premarital sex too, but it was like two nights before we got married, and so
like, doesn't count. But like so like it's so things like that are in the comfort of your own home. Like, would you have to go in temple and just confess?
Well, you go into your bishop and confess.
You have to go. You would have to like. So even like no one knows that you drank a glass of wine. Would the guilt be so just like on your shoulders?
Heavy.
Like, I have to tell my bishop, otherwise I'm.
Yeah.
Really.
It's heavy. Yeah. Because they do make you feel so guilty about it. I mean, it's difficult. It's really difficult to break the rules and feel good about it.
But what about like all the convenient workarounds that I guess outsiders hear about, like soaking or like the Mormons that'll go to Vegas and they'll get married for a night so that they can have sex and then they come back and it's like nothing happened. Like, you have to confess that as well, right? Or is that a convenient workaround that confuses God and it's okay?
I think that's just like personal preference, I guess.
Yeah.
Like as far as like what level of conversion that you're at, I guess. But
Sure.
but we were in it. Like my husband was in the bishopric. I was in all the leadership callings. There is different levels as far as status, I would say, like within the church. Like, I'm not kidding you when I tell you that people will pay more tithing money to make it appear like you make more money because
you want to like look good. Yeah.
This is fucking true, okay? But you literally because the people that are in leadership, that are in the stake, in the bishop, Rick, they're wealthy. And so you want to appear like you're more wealthy so you can get a leadership calling.
No way.
Yes.
That's so funny. So like, so Mel, what was it like for you and your husband? Like, what was the final straw for you guys of like, all right, we're calling it quits with the Mormon church?
Oof. Well, I would definitely say it's like a slow roll, right?
For sure.
Like
The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. And so it was a lot of things piling up, but I would definitely say, so, my husband was in the bishopric and he had cheated on me. His guilt got so bad. He told me about it after they have these like priesthood meetings that are only for men that they get to go to. And basically he had heard like, there's nothing that you can confess to your wife that she will not forgive you of. Okay. So he's like, this is my, and this is true because they do within the church kind of train you to believe that everything is the woman's fault, including like how we dress. Like if we dress immodestly, then we are creating impure thoughts for these men, right? So you're taught at a very young age that whatever you do is an effect of the men, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he confesses to me, we don't go to the bishop. We have to go to the stake president who is above the bishop because now that he's so high in leadership, right? So we had already had a scandal. The bishop before him had also had an affair.
Okay.
And it was very public. They could not afford this to be public. We also are pretty pivotal people within the community. Everyone knows we're Mormon. We go to a lot of things. So they cannot afford for this to get out. So they are going to keep it quiet, tells us not to tell anybody about it, right? So normally you would get like disfellowshipped. So he would have, or even excommunicated, especially where he was that high in leadership, he would have gotten stripped of his garments, not been able to do a temple recommend, can't take the sacrament, all of those things. They didn't do any of that to him because people would be able, people would see that. And so, and then he basically, told me like, I need to have sex with him more, all of these things. So we go to therapy, and the therapist also is through LDS Family Services. And then they teach you, how I was learning how to be a better wife so that my husband didn't stray. Right.
I can't believe you, Mel. Oh my goodness.
No, honestly, okay, to be fair, like I am not the same person I was when I was in the church. I have completely done a 180. I'm not even the same person at all. And so for people to even think like that know me now, they're like, how did you fucking believe that? I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I was brainwashed.
Yeah, you're in the thick of it. So you're just like,
yes.
Yes, this makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So they basically just let this slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've got my son. I have told you, like, my kids are pretty good. Like, they're amazing athletes. My daughter, her team's going to March Madness. Like, they're, they're excellent. So we were not allowing our kids to play sports on Sunday because playing sports on Sunday is against the church rules. And so I started to decide after this whole fallout, I was like, you know what? Like, I just don't know if these other things are that important. Like, I let him start playing basketball on Sunday, and I got caught in a Facebook tag where my son was there, even though we made sure that he went to church on Sunday and he played the game after church was over. Yeah, no, they were
Wait, that's
going.
not okay? Like, even if you go to church that morning and really?
No. And like, you also have to understand there is church at 9, 11, 1, and 4 o'clock. So you can easily go to church anytime throughout the day. Like those, and you can look them up online, find like, if we're in Texas, for instance, I can look up and see what time his game is and I can take him to any ward and make it, right? Doesn't matter. You're not supposed to play sports on Sunday. You're not supposed to go to the grocery store on Sunday. You're not supposed to do anything except for you can't even put gas in your car. Yeah. You can't buy anything. You cannot go shopping. You cannot do anything. It sounds a lot like the Pharisees. Remember when they were making up all of the rules for how many steps you could take?
Exactly what it sounds
Remember?
like.
Yeah. And Jesus hated them. Yeah. So that's basically what's going on in the Mormon church. So, okay. So I get turned in. So the bishop's like, tells my son, we're going to, so take his temple recommend away. So for kids, they're allowed to go to the temple to do baptisms for dead people that are already died. We could talk about that later.
Which is also crazy. That's
also crazy. Yes. And then he was not going to be allowed to pass the sacrament. And so that's that's a public thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so everyone's going to see that he's done something bad, which normally is because kids are having sex with girls or something like that, right? And so they're being punished. And I knew at the time that there was a boy that was passing a sacrament that was having sex with a girl. Like, I knew that. Yeah. And I was like, so they were punishing my son for playing basketball on Sunday.
And he's doing it right. Like, he's still going to church. Yeah. Like, he's a good kid. That's so crazy to me.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is that the bishop had told him to, like, that he needed to stand up to his parents and tell us that we were wrong and that we needed to not let him play sports on Sunday. So I felt like he was driving a wedge between me and my son, which is funny because I'm like, dude, you don't know that this kid has literally been fighting me for years, like, because we didn't let him play sports on Sunday. Like,
ball, yeah.
Dude, if he's gonna be on anyone's side, it's me, not you. I'm the one that's giving him what he wants. So I lost it. I lost my shit. I was like, first of all, don't fucking talk to my kids ever without me present. Like, not allowed. Also, the fact that you're going to sit there and you're going to punish my kid when his dad didn't even get punished for having an affair. Okay. Okay. Like, I was just kind of like, this is fucked up. Like, the double standards and how this whole thing played out. I was like, no, And
that was it.
I'm done. Like, this is not true. None of this is true. Yeah. And also, like, when you're in leadership too, you see behind the curtain. You see all the puppet strings. You see how none of this is inspired. You see that they put people in callings based upon how much money they make, based upon whether or not you want them to be more active in the church. Like, if someone's starting to stray, you're like, oh no, let's get him in and get him a job, whatever that is. Like, you just kind of see that things are not put in place by God. Yeah. They're put in place by man.
Which is clear. Like, you can see habits like this and be like, yeah, God wouldn't, like, chastise your son. Because, like, the stuff for your son, for example, like, that's pertaining to, like, exaltation, correct? Like, the level of heaven. Like, God wouldn't chastise your son for still going to church on Sundays and then being like, duh, but he's playing basketball. Like, take him down a notch. Like, that's, like we talked about, that's, like, Pharisee-type behavior of, like, look at the image, look at all these things, like, do as much as you can. And Jesus is like, no, I hate you guys. That's stupid.
Yeah. Well, and not just that, but, like, I had told the bishop too, I was like, I prayed about it. And when I truly felt when I prayed about it, that it was like, let him play.
Yeah.
And so I did. And so, like, who are you to tell me that the guidance that I had for my own family is not true?
Exactly. That's kind of where it's interesting too, of like my wife and I are practicing Christian. If we, and this doesn't happen a ton in Christianity, but, like, if we went to church and then, like, one of the pastors was telling us to do something that was, like, contrary to how we believe we should raise our children, or, like, the practices we instill in our homes, we would be like, kick rocks, buddy. Like, no chance. And again, that doesn't happen a ton in, like, I think, like, Protestant Christianity at least. So that's so interesting that, like, hey, you can have revelation for your family unless we actually think that you should be doing it a different way. You don't know what's best for your kids.
And it might have been different if I was a man, because then I would have been able to hold the priesthood, but I can't actually hold the priesthood. So I can't actually get guidance from God. I have to get it from my husband, who gets it from God.
That's so crazy to me.
Seems a little wild. Okay, so let's talk about the temple, okay? Because I feel like that is like the most absolutely, like, craziest thing ever. Yeah. So basically, so Mormons believe that we have 3 heavens. I think, are we the only church that believe this?
Yeah.
Okay. So It's all these different levels, right? The black people, by the way, they're going to the celestial kingdom, which is the very bottom.
Sorry, guys.
Unless they repent, because Mormons believe that black people have sinned and that they're wicked people and they were fence sitters back when we were in the premortal life and they couldn't make a decision. So now they're being cursed, and that's why their skin is dark.
Yeah. There was a guy that dunked on me in college, and I do think he was black. He's a sinner. He needs to repent for sure.
For sure.
For doing that. He's going to the celestial kingdom for that.
100%. But did you know that if he repented for dunking on you and posterizing you, that he would have a chance to become white?
Yes, he would be white and delightsome. Good for him.
he would be white in
And
Mormon
no longer
heaven.
able to dunk. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, your athletic skill is now diminished. You are now down at Caucasian status.
What if AJ committed to BYU and like by the time March Madness, like after a year in, we just start seeing him like going Sammy Sosa, like he's starting to get wider. Like, oh my gosh, maybe they're right. It's kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, and there was a rumor that he had joined the church and was going to go on a mission instead of going into the NBA. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, like that is how good the Mormon church is. They are so freaking good at just sucking you in, brainwashing you, manipulating you. And like the power of the pussy, like he gets a girlfriend, like she can convince him to do anything. I was scared. My daughter's boyfriend played with him at Utah Prep is where they were at. And so I think he messaged him was like, this is not real. Like, right. No, he was just taking like a missionary prep class because
Which you have to probably.
Well, you have to take religion classes that require it. And so he chose mission prep because it's basically gives you information of how to preach the gospel. So he's like, well, how else? That's the best way to learn, right? Yeah. Like, but yeah, no, they ran with it. They were like, oh no, he's preparing to go on a mission. Yeah, no.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we believe in these 3 degrees of glory, right? And so you have to get married in the temple in order to get to the celestial kingdom. Also, like that would be another reason why we would never drink in private, because no matter what, even if we didn't go and confess to the bishop, we would not, like if we're not clean, we're not going to make it to the celestial kingdom. And you literally are like bought in thinking that you get to be a god. Do you realize that? Like we get to be God. All right, blamers, that's another shot of truth with no chaser. If you made it this far, I love you for it. If you're offended, it's probably because it hit home. Make sure you hit follow so you don't miss the next episode. Share this one with your friends, your ex, your therapist, whoever needs to hear it. And tag me at Blame It on Mel so I can see who's taking the blame with me. Until next time, keep it real, keep it raw, and if all else fails, just blame Mel.